Wherever you are in the world, we are live on Channel 5. This is Lee here, one of the Cloudways Mavericks, with Peacher and Tracy. Today, we are going to be sharing with you how to get new clients from your LinkedIn consistently. And this is going to be interesting because I recently disabled my LinkedIn. So I feel a little bit awkward because we have Tracy Burnett, who is known as the LinkedIn marketing alchemist. So there is a challenge today. The challenge from Tracy to me is to A, listen, B, answer a few questions at the very end, and probably C, after this, reactivate my LinkedIn and apply some of the lessons that Tracy has shared. So I'd encourage you as well, if your LinkedIn is, a bit flaky, we don't give it much love, or it's just annoying you, sit back, relax, grab your notepad and pen. We're going to have a great time today with Tracy learning how to improve our presence and to get some consistent clients. I am so hyped up. It's ridiculous, mainly because Peacher has been hyping Tracy up to me for the last 2 months. So no pressure, Tracy. Before we do carry on, though, let's just do a quick round robin of who's who, and then Peacher is going to do our intro. So let's start with myself. I am the host of the Agency Trailblazer podcast over on agencytrailblazer.com, and I am one of the fellow Cloudways Mavericks. Tracy, a very quick intro from you.
Yeah, I'm Tracy Burnett. As you just said, I'm the LinkedIn marketing alchemist and love LinkedIn. Get all my business on LinkedIn. Don't really use any other platforms. Me. Really happy to be here today and share my experience with you. Not only have I got 5 years experience on LinkedIn, but I've got 40 years experience in marketing. So, yeah.
Awesome. And then Peacher, over to you for your intro and the introduction.
I'm Peacher Neri. I'm a Cloudways Maverick together with Lee and our friend Jan, who couldn't be there today, Jan Koch. But Jan, we miss you. And I am a UX and design expert. And at the moment, I'm running a conference. It will be live soon. It's free to attend. You must come. It's called Design for Conversions, designforconversions.com. Now, after this plug, back to the star of the day, Tracy. And I just have to say, so Tracy and I met in Valencia. We both moved to Valencia from the UK about 5 years ago. And we met here, but in a professional environment and became friends. But also, we've worked together in various capacities and situations. And I then, not so recently, but a while ago, started taking Tracy seriously about LinkedIn, because I was a little bit, it was just like, for me, it was more like, I prefer Facebook. Now I definitely don't. And I started being really, I've done Tracy's course. Tracy has a fantastic course that is, has a lot of coaching in it, which is what I like very much. But the results were amazing. And I'm not even consistent at all. I haven't got to the stage yet where I'm really consistent with my posting and so on. Not at all. But even just the profile, taking Tracy's advice on how to set up your profile and how to connect with people on LinkedIn have delivered. I mean, I could actually give you a spreadsheet with all the money that I've made thanks to Tracy's advice. So I can't wait for this because it's always packed with value, Tracy's advice. So, I can't. Basically it's transformational advice. And if you're watching this, you need to share it and tell your friends that they should come and watch this because it's seriously life-changing stuff here. Lee.
Awesome. You can find out more information on tracyburnett.com. We're about to share your screen, Tracy, and we're going to hand over to you for your awesomeness. So give me a thumbs up when you're ready to rock and roll.
I might be if my computer...
I'm loving the noise. By the way, folks, if you check out tracyburnett.com, you will see some awesome photos. She has got the loveliest smile ever. So check out tracyburnett.com. Are you struggling with the presenter?
Yeah, for some reason it's not, F5 isn't working. So
if you...
technical issue.
No worries.
Right, why is that not happening? Let me try it another way.
No problem at all.
But you're not on the screen yet. So maybe is that anything to do with that? No.
No, that's not it. Okay, that's interesting.
In the meantime, folks, you can go and check Tracy out on LinkedIn itself if you haven't yet, for instance.
Look at that. I was ready with that. LinkedIn.com/IN/Tracy Burnett.
We are perfectly synced, Lee.
And this is live, so don't worry, folks. We're just doing a bit of tech.
It's fine. It says it's normal, no problem.
Slideshow, let's try that.
The beauty of this as well, folks, is we can also edit this out later and no one will ever know.
Exactly.
So if you're live, let us know in the comments. Give us a thumbs up. Tell Tracy how awesome she is so we can show that. We've just had the thumbs up. So I'm going to now shut up and stop filling and let's go to Tracy. Thank you, Tracy.
Sorry about that. Very technically challenged. Might be good at LinkedIn, but I'll always hand over to you guys for the technical stuff.
Thank you. You're awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get going then. So the title of the presentation today is how to get new clients from LinkedIn consistently. Consistently being the big word. And I'm a LinkedIn strategist and mentor and trainer. So let's dig in. The 4 things I'm going to cover today is I'm going to give you some tips on how to create a killer profile. If you get your profile right, then that can bring in great inbound inquiries. How to find and connect with more people that you want to work with, not people you don't want to work with, and how to get more visibility and credibility amongst your ideal clients, and how to get high levels of good quality appointments consistently in your calendar, so we avoid these peaks and troughs that we often get in business. So I just wanted to give you an overview first, just to put what I'm going to say into context. So I've got 9 things here, and I'm going to also show you a little chart for the process that I use. So I'm giving you a bit of an inside look. But the 9 things that I think are really important for success is to be really clear and focused on who your audience and market is. And a lot of people think, hey, yeah, I am focused, but not 9.9 people out of 10 that I work with, there's always some tweaking that you can do. And sometimes it's just the smallest little tweak that all of a sudden you make that change on your LinkedIn profile and you get so many more inquiries. So it's definitely worth having a look at that. Understand what people are thinking, what they're needing, what they're challenged by, and, really what their pains are. What are they saying to themselves in bed every night? Be in the places that they hang out. So if they're hanging out in groups, great. If they're hanging out in the news feed or they only use the inbox, you need to be where they are. And, start a conversation without thinking about selling. So come from a place of service and show an interest in them. Yeah. And offer support and value, which is following on from the service, and then nurture relationships. So many people will just connect with somebody and leave it, or they'll message them and don't get a response, so they leave it. So you have to put in some effort, and only offer a meeting when the time's right. So don't go in there connecting with somebody and then sort of saying, hey, I'd love to talk to you, because people just wave goodbye and disconnect. And, just to, as a confirmation, come to each sales call from a place of service, not sales. That might sound a little bit counterintuitive, but it isn't.
Tracy,
yep.
Can I give an example? Because I'm sure that when I was still had no idea how to act on LinkedIn, this was a bit that I found very difficult to connect with, because I'm a designer. I've always said I'm not good at sales and so on. But basically, since taking all this in, your training in and so on, so I'll give you an example of what I did recently. So I've got this conference, and that's a really good way for me to plug the conference again, designforconversions.com. And I was looking for sponsors as well as, so one of the reasons why I do the conference is that I want to connect with more people in my industry, get to know the companies that are doing the products that I love and so on, and that I like their ethos. So I've started looking for those people, and I knew already, finally, I wasn't just sort of randomly looking. So that was already a framework that you gave me, who to look for and why. And then I started a conversation with someone at one of these companies, but it was a real conversation because I was really interested in what he does. I found out what he does. He's a content person, so we started talking about that. And then I said, but I did say at the beginning, I've got this conference that I'm plugging. I was honest about it, but I wasn't selling it to him. And then in the end, I said, I think your company would probably be a good sponsor. Do you know who I could approach for a sponsorship? And he gave me the link to a form. And I filled in that form, and lo and behold, gold sponsor for my conference. So this is real world stuff. And if you told me before I'd done the coaching with Tracy, I would not have thought it possible. But it's just one of the many ways. So all the 9 steps that Tracy has just gone through. This is exactly what an example of how you put them into practice, and you'll get concrete results. And by concrete results, I mean money in the bank, literally. So
I detect a fan here, guys.
I don't know what makes you think that.
Well, she's done the course, so that that helps me.
That's awesome. Live testimonials.
Absolutely. So this is the process that I've used sort of unbeknowingly in the beginning when I've had my own business for 30 years. And when I sort of at one point sort of sat down and think, why was I successful? So I managed to turn over $470,000 in the first 2 years of my business. So why was I successful? When I analysed this and obviously learning from the last 30 years and the five years on LinkedIn, this is the process that I've come up with. So in the middle there, you've got, get noticed, build credibility, and increase clients and revenue. Now, that's what we need. We need to get noticed. We don't want to be invisible. When we're seen, we want people to think, hey, she's worth talking to, or he's worth talking to. She knows her stuff. And then the third thing is we're all doing this to increase our number of clients we get and to increase the revenue. So what do we need to do? Now, one of the most important things, I think, is this Unshakable Business Foundation, which is the very first thing you do. So it's, what are your goals? What are your business goals? What are your marketing goals? What are your goals on LinkedIn? Then we move on to something I've touched on a minute ago, which is how to get super clear on your perfect niche and audience. So, how do you do that? Who are they? Really understand them, maybe create an avatar. As I said before, know what they're actually talking to themselves about in their heads, what they're thinking about and worrying about in bed, what they're typing into Google. Really understand where they are now, but also understand where they want to be, because that's really important too. Because that's what you're delivering. That's what they're buying you for, to take them out of pain and to give them the joy at the end. And then what are your product offers? They need to really offer maximum appeal. So as soon as you say, look, these are my product offers, there's this, this, and this, they think, all right, which one do I have? Not, am I going to buy or am I not going to buy? And then you need a highly attractive marketing proposition and messaging, that magnetizes the clients, but that's easy once you've done the other work. So what I always say to people is if you follow the process, then the next step is easier. So people come to me and say, I don't know what to write in my profile. I don't know what to write when it comes to content. But if they've done this bit, they'll have bags and bags and bags of ideas for content, because they'll know what that person that they're aiming at wants to achieve in their head. Yeah.
Lee, you're really big on niching as well. That's something you talk about a lot.
I absolutely love this. If you know who you serve, if you know what you do, your strengths, what you're doing, who it is you're serving, the problems you're solving for them, the aspirations they have, and you know what you can do for them, holy crap, the messaging and everything else becomes super easy. So Tracy, I'm so with you. This is awesome.
Yeah. So I know a lot of LinkedIn people, they offer a service to improve your profile, but I'm just not interested in that, because if you do, I'm not going to write a load of old rubbish for somebody in a profile when I don't have the answers to the Unshakable Business Foundation element. So I just don't offer that service unless they, and unless people are happy to go through that foundational stuff and then do the profile, of course. But otherwise you're just writing a profile and it's just a story, it's just a story and not likely to connect with anybody. So once we've done that, then you're ready to get the visibility and start generating leads. So the first thing is to create this all-star LinkedIn profile, which I'll go on to in a minute. So you've got something that attracts people, both inbound inquirers, and attracts people to take the next step when they actually land on it. And then the next thing you need to do is build your LinkedIn network and relationships, coming from a value standpoint. And then you can create a content strategy as well that where you know what your pillars are, you know what your content can be under that. And the aim here is to build that visibility, the credibility, and build engagement. And then obviously to master LinkedIn to, again, increase the visibility, credibility, and the inbound lead. So you need to understand the workings of LinkedIn and, the wide scope. I mean, there was a funny thing the other day where I jumped on a call with somebody, I didn't know him, and he said, I just can't believe you sent me an audio message through LinkedIn. He said, I said to my wife, this woman on LinkedIn has sent me a message. I thought, okay, I mean, I don't know what he would have done.
I could have got misunderstood.
Yeah, it's interesting what sort of what appeals to people, but knowing the scope of what LinkedIn can do, it just gives you a bigger toolbox in which to play with. And then the third bit is about boosting your sales or sales maximization, because about 4 years ago, I had this client. She got, I don't know, something like in the first month, 30 or 32 meetings. And I just thought, oh my God, she's going to love me. She's going to have so many clients. I can't believe it. And anyway, she got no sales after these 32 meetings. And at that point, I thought, okay, I need to do something about this sales element. And it's the one thing that people are really fearful about. So I teach a process. So it is all about knowing the positive things you can do over a sales call that is going to lead them more successfully to a sale at the end, if you want to work with them and they want to work with you. Obviously, I'm not into sort of pushing or ramming anything down anybody's throat. So you're getting more prospects to say yes, you're not leaving money on the table, and to give people confidence about how to remove the obstacles that sometimes people put in the way. And one of the things I've done in my group course is to bring in a lady called Nina Cook, who's a mindset expert, and she does a couple of sessions where she removes that fear of getting on the phone or making approaches to people, and gets you over that hump of getting on a sales call and talking to people. So, any questions before I move on?
Yeah, Nina's great as well. I've been on Nina's sessions, and they're brilliant.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, that just gives you an overview. Okay, so creating a killer LinkedIn profile. So, why is this so important? It's really important because Google loves LinkedIn, and also LinkedIn is a search engine, which, that's maybe not so mind-blowing. But, if your profile's good and it's got all the, the right keywords and key phrases, which if you know who your audience is, you know what they're searching for, and you know what the keywords and phrases are. If you can put some of those into your profile, then it's going to be more easily found, not only by Google, but by LinkedIn searches as well. So the chances are you'll come up really high. Often you come up in page one, whether it's your personal profile or it's your company profile, company page profile if you've got one. And it is a sales page. I mean, it's not a CV. It's not, it's not selling, or it is selling you as a person, but it's a landing page essentially. So it needs to motivate the right people to take the next step. And so that just on its own can increase the number of inquiries and meetings. And when I say motivate the right people, it demotivates the wrong people. So again, once you know who you're actually appealing to, you can then put off the people that you definitely don't want to contact you. Because you don't want everybody, because not everybody's right for you. So it gives you the opportunity to tell your story in literally a couple of minutes. And I've already really covered this off. Just make sure you sprinkle this profile with your keywords and phrases. And the same thing would go for a company page if you've actually got one. So there's a few things you can do. One of the things is to delete this people also viewed, which if you look on the right-hand side of your profile, you might have. So if somebody is searching for LinkedIn expert and they come up with my profile and they click on my profile, or they could, if I enabled it, also see this people also viewed. and potentially it could be a number of other LinkedIn experts. Well, I don't want them moving off of my profile onto one of my competitors, so I disable that, and it's easy to do in settings. Another couple of recommendations is have a good profile photograph. So make sure you're head on, smiling at the person, look professional, and it's dead clean. Again, sounds like a simple thing, but makes a big difference, because subconsciously we do make decisions on what we see. And fully complete the contact section. Again, might sound like, well, this is simple, but I can't tell you the number of times I click contact and it's just not filled out. So you need your telephone number, your email address. You've got 3 or 4 places to put, they call it website. You don't have to just put a website URL. You could put your website URL, you could put a specific link to your blog, you can put a link to your calendar, you could put a link to your podcast. The opportunities are endless. So why not use all those fields and just fill them up? And so you've also got address. I don't put my address, but I just put, work globally, or I don't want to say work globally, based in Valencia or something like that. So use it as a sales tool.
So on that point, Tracy, I actually never changed that. I always kept London, because I was told years ago that LinkedIn does sort of, not privilege, but does take your geographical location as a fact. So it will only show you things that are relative to where you live. And I like you, I don't work with Spain. I work globally. So is that not true then?
Well,
because people think I'm still in London, but I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not.
and I put London on mine, but in the contact section, I do just sometimes I do just say, I think I say work globally and whatever.
Okay, I'll do that.
The thing is, for LinkedIn, if you're using LinkedIn from a Spanish IP address, they're going to know where you are anyway. So I'm not quite sure how they might work that out. Thinking about it, I don't get anything, I don't think, from that's Spanish. So that would tell me that they're not using my IP address. They might be using what I've got on my profile, which I think says Westminster or something, which is in London.
It might use connections as well, because when I was in Florida for a couple of months, I did see an increase. I didn't change my location on LinkedIn, but I did see an increase in people that I had been meeting at conferences, etc. And we were using that feature in the app back then, where you could kind of find people who were physically near you. It was a cool little feature on the Android app. I don't know if it exists anymore. And you could see everyone else who'd activated it and was adding people. And then I was getting more and more recommendations for things around the Florida area just for a short while until I came back home, and then it all kind of fizzled out.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah. It might have been due to the people I was meeting, though, and connecting with as well.
Yeah.
So I want to know from LinkedIn how this works, because it seems like in this day and age, it makes no sense. I mean, of course, there are some businesses that are very much geographically based, and therefore it's important to them. But so many of us work, globally, don't really have the geographic location is almost it's a hindrance for me, because I don't work with Spain at all. So LinkedIn, if you're listening, please let us know. We need to know about this geographical location thing.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be able to hazard a guess either, because I'm a LinkedIn host for Valencia. I've connected with a load of people in the city anyway, and so you've got this function which is people you may know. And so they would take those connections that I've got from people businesses based in Valencia, and show me people that are similar in a similar area. And I don't even know whether a LinkedIn would tell you, but it might be worth answering. The trouble is you don't have you have to put somewhere in. You don't have an option to leave it blank. So I think leave it as it is. Yeah. And the final thing is ask for recommendations, because social proof is so important. So recommendations is LinkedIn's word for testimonials, really. So if somebody gives me a testimonial, I always ask them if they can put it onto LinkedIn, because you can't take a testimonial from somebody else and put it on your LinkedIn. It has to be driven by them. So, that's the way I do it. And then you can lift it from LinkedIn and put it anywhere you like. And as I say, social proof is really important. So I would definitely say boost that. And if you've got testimonials that you've got over the last few years, you can always just message people on LinkedIn and say, hey, you gave me this testimonial. This is the text. I'd really love it if you could add it to LinkedIn. This is how you do it. It's a really simple process. So make it nice and easy for them. They just need to copy and paste, and it'll take 2 seconds or 30 seconds to actually do it for you. And give recommendations, because if you give, sometimes people automatically give you one back without you even asking. Okay. So the way I look at a profile is always really concentrate the messages on your banner, your tagline, and your about section. So you can see here on the right hand side my banner. So I've got the banner, and then the tagline is under the name, and you can only just see the about section. And you've got like 2 lines, 250 characters or something like that, that people see when they land on your profile. So what I try and do here is to tell a complete message. So I'm not repeating what I've said in my banner, in my tagline, and I'm not repeating what I've said in my banner and tagline in my about section. So the banner is just really like a press advert. The banner draws the person's eye. The tagline tells them who you are, who you work with, why you work with them, and the results you get. And the about section, then if they're interested, obviously they'll go to the about section, they'll click on see more, and that will give them a deeper insight. So, they're the 3 things that I would definitely concentrate on. And then you need this all-star status. Now, also an all-star profile is a status that LinkedIn gives you. You can't give it to yourself. And so that will get you priority in search, as well as having over 500 connections will give you more priority. You'll come higher up in LinkedIn search. But just click this add profile section, and you see the drop down that I've put there. All you need to do is just go into each of those sections and complete them. You don't need to complete every single one, but I used to show you what the percentage was. I don't think it does anymore, but you needed to have 90% full or something. Any questions on that?
Oh, this is good. What I'm doing, you can't see, is I'm writing little mini takeaways as you go, which are then popping up on screen. Like takeaway, your profile should not be repetitive. That was one of them. And another one is your tagline should be detailed but concise. I hope these are right,
now,
by the way.
Lee's a genius he just distills information. I really wish I were like him. So I just a quick point. You see that little icon next door to Tracy's name? If you have a dodgy name, a name that people may find difficult to pronounce, such as mine, you can record it there. So I recorded mine. It says Pete Janeri. It's all it says. It says your name, and I think it's just such a nice touch.
Mm.
Okay, so with that, what I do, I think you only get 10 seconds. So I've got a little, you could say sales message on there. So my name isn't complicated unless you're in Spain, where they call me Tracy. But so I just put a little, I can't even remember what I say now, but I just put a little message in there. So how creative can you be in 10 seconds? Use everything you've got. There's all these little tiny things that are available. So on the tagline as well, these are some of the key words. So, LinkedIn strategist, LinkedIn local host. I'm trying to, I like connecting with, I wanted to say that because I want to connect with other LinkedIn local hosts across the world. And LinkedIn marketing is something that people search for. And, I'm saying quite a lot here. You've only got 220 characters. But, I'm saying, look, if you're a coach or consultant, then, I work with you. I specialize in that area. I only want to work with ambitious people. So I'm turning away anybody that, couldn't give a flying monkeys. I want them to be deadly serious. I want them to have, be serious about consistently getting new clients. because I want to attract the right sort of people, because they're the people that I like working with, and I know that I can help, and I want people that are going to do the work. And then I've, talk about turning their annual income into their monthly income. Well, who doesn't want that? And going to the banner, if I ever do any research, which I do on a regular basis, if I say to them, what's your biggest challenge? There's only two answers I ever get. One is finding new clients, or find new clients, and the other one is get new clients. They're the only two answers I ever get for people, from my audience, about what their biggest challenge is. I hope that helps. So how to find and connect with people you want to work with. Just to say this want to work with thing, I've said it a few times now, and I think it's really important that you like the people that you work with, because if you don't, I think it makes life miserable. So that's just my take on it. You might not much. Yeah. So know exactly who you want to work with and keep this focus. I think we've already probably done that to death a bit. Who should you be working with? Who's a good fit for you? Because that's important as well. Just because you like them and you want to work with them doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good fit. It might mean that it's just a really uphill struggle to persuade them that you're the right person. And I'm a big believer in doing some research, because guessing, you could miss it by a mile. So always do some research. So certainly when you're looking at your audience, once you've made a few assumptions, then you can always go out to those people and say, look, will you spend 15 minutes, having a chat with me? I'm doing some research. And what I do, I do that, and I say, look, give me 15 minutes and I'll give you 15 minutes. You can just grill me on LinkedIn for 15 minutes. So I'm giving back for the time that they've given me. And the tighter the niche, the easier it is to find people, for definite. And the easier it is to write content, because you know exactly where that person's coming from and what they want and what they perceive as value. And I think it's really nice. I don't know whether you've ever done it, but sometimes I've read something, I thought, God, that person can see into my mind. And that's what that's what we need to aim for, I think, when we're writing, is just to really get the languaging absolutely perfect, which is why when you do the research, you've got exactly what they're saying. And I think that's really important to feed that back to them. So you can start looking in LinkedIn search. So there's in the top left, there's a search bar, or you can use Sales Navigator. So Sales Navigator is a paid for, costs about $80, something like that, to purchase each month, and it gives you loads and loads of different fields in which you can search for your audience. Basic search is very basic. So if you want to go to more the masses, then basic search may not be an option for you. You could look in groups where your audience hangs out. So what a lot of people do, they think, oh, I'm a life coach, so I'm going to go and join all the life coaching groups. Well, you're not going to find your clients in there, and it might be okay to join a couple of groups that have your peer group in there, but you can join 100 groups. So why not join groups where you're going to find your people? Now, LinkedIn groups aren't particularly active, and so you might think, well, what's the point? But the point is certainly if you're starting out and you've got quite low numbers of connections, what's going to happen is it's going to give you a bigger pond to fish in, because LinkedIn will allow you to connect directly and message the people that you're in a group with in a way that they wouldn't if you weren't in the group. So you can only connect with people within your network. And the other thing is it's quite good to just literally look through the members list in that group and pick people off. So I quite like groups for that reason. You can look at your competitors' connections. Sometimes it's private, you can't see their connections, but sometimes they leave it public. So you can just look through their connections and see if you can find anybody that you quite like to contact. Search a hashtag relevant to your market. So again, in the search bar, you can type hashtag whatever, and then you can see all the posts that have used that particular hashtag. So if those people have used that hashtag, obviously for that you'd have to sort of have some idea what your ideal client is writing and what they might be using as a hashtag. But, you know, the more you do it, the more you get a feel for it. And also, just as sort of an aside, you can create your own personal hashtag and ask people to follow that. And that also gives you a good reference point, because you can go onto your own hashtag and see everything you've ever done in the newsfeed, which is much easier. Send a personal connection request message. Now, you can just find somebody and think, oh, they're an interesting person, and just click connect, and it will just go through without a message. But, you know, as I've sort of said before, I come from a place of more of service and personal connection. I like a relationship with people. So I start off by sending them a personal connection request message. And when they respond back, then open up the conversation with a question. And the reason why I say this is what we really want to do here. We want to fact find and nurture. So the process is find somebody you think is going to be an ideal client for you. You can send them a personal message. Just look at their profile or their website, or, you know, get some information and think, how can I start a conversation with this person? And then message them back, thank them for connecting, say something personal. You know, it could be as simple as, oh, my sister lives in your city, or something like that. And then ask a question, something that you're curious about, something that is simple for them to answer, not too complex, and obviously not too personal. And, you know, you get quite a few responses by doing that way. And then, you know, I always have a few conversations going with people, and I just take it to its logical end. It's either they're obviously not interested, I'm not even going to offer a meeting, or at some point when they're asking me loads of questions, I say, look, you know, why don't we just jump in the call and have a chat? So that's the way I do it, and it seems to work. Any questions before I move on?
No, keep going. This is gold.
Okay.
Absolute gold.
Good. Okay. So increase your visibility and credibility. So one of the things is to post great content. And as I said before, it's really easy if you know who you're writing for. Newsfeed posts are better than articles. Articles don't get as much engagement, but they're still important for another reason, which I can go into later if you want me to. And engage in other people's posts, because what LinkedIn are doing all the time, they're looking at what you're doing, your overall activity on LinkedIn, and they give you, there's what's called an SSI, or a social selling index, and it'll allow you to sort of see how you're doing in 4 different areas. And so what they want on their platform is people that post good content. They want people that stay on the platform, that use the platform regularly, that start conversations with other people, that jump into other people's conversations, who, you know, people that connect with people that are relevant to them, and they measure that by, if you send 100 connection requests out and only 10 people say, yes, I'll connect with you, then you'll get marked down because you've got 90 people that haven't connected with you. So, you know, give value in your comments. Again, it's an opportunity for you to showcase how brilliant you are, how intelligent you are, or whatever your opinions. And you can tag people in posts to get the conversation started as well. Although a little caveat there is, don't tag people if you think they might not respond, because if they don't respond, the post gets less views. So yesterday I tagged 2 people in a post, and my views on that post were quite low compared with my others, because neither of the people actually engaged. So, you know, be a little bit careful about that, and don't tag loads and loads of people. It's just really, really, the algorithm won't like it.
I'm a bit guilty of that.
Yeah. I've got a client that does this, and I keep telling her, but anyway, you know, there you go. You know, she will tag like 20 people or even 10 people, and of course nobody engages, and therefore her post gets seen by nobody. You know.
So now I've learned that if I do that and those people don't engage, then I will be affecting or harming my SSI.
You'll be marked down by the algorithm. So because the way the algorithm works is it shows your post initially to a few of your first connections, and if it gets some traction, it'll think, oh, this is an okay post, I'll show it to more of their first connection. So it shows it to more people. It gets more traction. It'll show it to more of your first connections and their first connections, your second connections. So there's a number of things that's going to mark you down. One of the things is tagging, certainly when you get higher up, is tagging without people responding. And the other one thing is hashtags. So had another client that started over the last few weeks putting hashtags all the way through the posts and then a load at the bottom. And so I messaged her and said, look, just want to sort of let you know, remind you that, all those hashtags are pointless, because, if you're writing something like, it's a really sunny day today, and you put hashtag sunny. I mean, how many people are going to put hashtag sunny?
I used to do that with the sky on Instagram. That was a good hack, like 15 years ago.
I mean, it's like trying to rank on Google for sunny. It's not going to happen, is it? It's just, and also, what's the point of yeah.
There's absolutely no point, and nobody's. If somebody's looking for LinkedIn marketing, for example, then, and they search hashtag LinkedIn marketing, but nobody's going to type in hashtag sunny. I mean, so what's the point? So when you're using hashtags, use between 3 and 9 hashtags, and make sure, you can use your own personal one if you've got one. Make sure you use 1 or 2 that have got a lot of followers, and you can check that through the search. So things like digital, hashtag sales, hashtag LinkedIn, they're all going to have more than 100,000 followers of that hashtag. Because those hashtags, the people who follow those hashtags will also get shown your posts. They'll have more priority over just any old person. So you've got your first connections, your second connections, your followers of hashtags. So all these little things really just count for something. Show who you are. Yeah.
Sorry, Tracy. A quick thing, because I know you've got lots of slides to get through, and this is not about, it's just about, we're talking about profiles. But one quick point, because I see a lot of people who say, oh God, LinkedIn, I post in there and no one ever connects, engages with it. And it's not like Facebook. It's not, you can't just post a link and full stop and that's it. No, you need to write an engaging post. It's something that I see people who, are killing it in other platforms. They just don't get that. And they still post on LinkedIn and nothing happens, because you need to take a little bit of time writing a post. Don't think that you're just going to post, plunk a link to your blog post and that you've done your job. I'm afraid it takes a little bit more work, but I know that writing a post could be a whole other course, not even a webinar, so I'll shut up now. But yeah Okay.
And also, if you're writing a post and trying to attract monkeys, but all of your first connections are lions, then it's not going to work either. So it could be the best post in the world. So there's so many factors, and that's why the process is really important, to get every step right, really. So don't expect immediate results. It's just like, oh, I posted for a week and nobody replied, so what's the point? I mean, that's, give it time. Work on getting engagement in your first hour of posting for the reason I just stated. And also message, your connections regularly in the inbox. I mean, don't flood them. And if, people do get fed up with sort of sales messages, but again, not we go off on a tangent. I won't go off on a tangent. So the summary is do the right things, give it some time, and it will all happen, but it's do the right things, give it time. So there's 2 really important things. So how to start getting high quality appointments. So I'm sort of conscious at times, probably rolling on and talking too much. So set the goals for the number of connection requests that you send, the number of people that you're going to approach, and the content you're going to post, and then spend time crafting your messages to engage those people. So the inbox messages I'm talking about here, and so you'll get more responses and you'll develop more conversations, and you get more meetings booked. And where I say sort of work the room, I very much sort of liken LinkedIn to a live networking event, that you decide to join this weekly networking event, and you roll up the first week, and there's all these people, you don't know who they are, And, you keep going back, week after week, and you speak to different people, and you start to sort of put them in little boxes, and you start to develop the conversations. And, by, maybe the third or fourth week, who your sort of targets are. And then you just need to work that room, and LinkedIn is really similar to that. Prepare an outline script for all your calls, because if you certainly in the beginning, if you're changing your process, it gives you a little bit of confidence. And if you sort of get stuck, don't ever read from a script, by the way, but it just gives you that little bit of an edge. And lead the conversation, because there are some people that get on the call, you sort of talk about how's the weather, and then they say, oh, by the way, yeah, so I just wanted to jump on today just to find out what it is you offer and how much it costs. And the easiest thing in the world is to say, well, I offer this and it costs this much. Do not go there. Just take the control back of the conversation and just say, I'd love to tell you that, and I definitely will tell you that, but I'm not really quite sure what the ideal solution is for you. But if I can ask you a few questions first, that would be great. So just keep control of the conversation, and then find out about them, their business, their challenges, why they're talking to you today, what's prompted this call, and what have they tried before, what their views are on it, are they talking to anybody else? What sort of solutions do they think they're looking for? And then to talk back at them and say, okay, so I understand that this is where you are at the moment, and it's all bleak and dark, and this is where you want to go, and it's all sunny and bright and jolly. And to get to that place, what I think you need is this. And then it's really easy, and it certainly is, I find it so difficult, is not to give advice or coach on a call. Because what I've found is that if you give them a little bit of information, so if you say, well, if you change this on your profile and you do this and you do this, they sort of breathe a sigh of relief and think, oh, I've got something I can be getting on with. So why would they then spend money with you if you've given them something that they can go away and action? And it's a really, really hard thing to do.
True.
Yeah. I was just speaking to a client earlier this afternoon about that as well. So this is the sort of thing you need to monitor, so you can see your weak spots. So I say number of new connections. I do this on a monthly basis. Number of people who ask for a call, and the number of people you make an offer of a call to. The number of calls booked, the number and value of the offers that you make, and the number of sales. So this is what it might look like, for example. So you send 400 connection requests, you get 200 accepted. Then you get these inbox conversations started with maybe 50 of them. And then from that, you get a number of meetings, requests or offers at 15, you get 10 meetings out of that. Some people, not everybody you'll make an offer to, because you might get through that initial call and think, actually, they're not the right person for me, or can't help them, or they don't like you, or you get a bad vibe, or whatever. So you only make offers to a percentage of those, and then maybe out of that 8, you get 4 sales. Your average value of a sale is £10,000, and so your average sales value is 40 a month. So if you start to monitor this over time, what you'll actually see is, if you're putting the 400 in the top of the funnel and you're getting 40,000 at the end, it sort of stands to reason that if you were to do 800, you might actually get 80,000 out. It's not always going to be the case. But the most important thing is that you start to see a pattern, because certainly if you're doing 400 and you're getting no sales, then you're not doing enough. So once you can see exactly where you're doing over minimum of probably 2 months, but maybe minimum of 3 months, really, that you can see where your weak points are. So where are you falling down? That you may have loads of people accepting, you might get loads of conversations started, but nobody goes to a meeting. So what is going wrong? And it just allows you then to sort of think, okay, so how can I improve? So that's hope that's useful. So my summary is make sure you have your unshakable business foundation, the audience, the message, the products. Decide what you're going to do. Decide you're going to do what it takes to see the success that you want. learn about marketing your business on LinkedIn, have goals and a process that's right for you. Don't try and do too much, because if you do too much, you'll just fall over. So start with a this is what I'm going to do every day on LinkedIn. If it gets too much, then think, well, what can I ditch? What can I do every week? Become visible. That takes time. Make sure you connect with people. Make sure you message people. Make sure you're nurturing people. Give value first, and show up every day. And don't give up after a few weeks. That's it.
Amazing. So much value. All of this is just packed with so many valuable insights and actionable tips. Because guys, those of you who have been watching, if you rewatch this and stop and start tweaking your profile based on Tracy's advice, you already great results. I can assure you of that. I finally have a profile I'm not ashamed of, that actually represents me. Because for me, for a long while, it was actually painful to go on LinkedIn, because I was like, oh God, that profile. I have that feeling with one of my websites now, because it doesn't represent me anymore, and you just don't know where to start from. But once you've got all of this clear, and you sort of tackle it bit by bit, it becomes really easy to tweak your profile when you need to. And it's just great. And I mean, I'm getting job offers, people, and I'm not even looking for a job. And I've had at least a couple of, not job offers as such, not like, okay, but conversations, people approaching me and saying, I've got this job going. Are you interested? Shall we have a talk? And the thing is that they are relevant jobs. They're jobs that if I were looking for a job, I would go for. So that's huge. It just means that you've done it right. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I think the added bonus is that you get loads of other sort of offers. So not only do you get connected with people who want to work with you, but you get offers for summits, webinars, guest podcasting. One of my clients even got offered a TV show. So there's all these other things that happen. You can find partners. You can find people that you want to work with. I mean, it's just like an absolute treasure trove, really, of great connections in my book. So,
and especially if you're tired of Facebook, LinkedIn is just so much more rewarding. There is no comparison. No comparison.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Can you post GIFs?
Yeah. You can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love the GIFs.
That was the deal breaker.
It was being a deal breaker for me.
Oh, you can do that in the messaging boxes. You can do audio, video, as long as you're using the app on the mobile, and GIFs. And soon they're doing a sort of Clubhouse version. We don't know when that's being released yet.
Oh, Clubhouse. I have installed Clubhouse on my phone, and accidentally somehow got into a conversation with someone. I had no idea how, and had to restart my phone because I didn't even know how to disconnect with it. So for the first time ever, I felt like my parents when they first turned on a computer. I'm like, what the heck is this? So that's something else to learn. I felt so embarrassed.
Oh God, that is hilarious.
And I didn't even know how to turn the phone off because it was a new phone. I eventually worked it out. I had to hold down and then swipe across. But anyway, so that was my moment. That's my only moment with Clubhouse so far.
Yeah.
The question is, though, have you convinced me to go back to LinkedIn?
I don't know.
And I'm not going to say yes, but I'm not going to say no. What I've recognized is there is an awful lot of things that I've not done right, and I've not really given the time. You said you wrapped up near the end where you were saying that you want to kind of establish who you are, what you do, all of that sort of stuff, but also commit to doing it, and also monitoring your activity and reviewing that for success, establishing those metrics and those outcomes that you want, so you can then actually measure that. And all of those are things that I've not done. I've not necessarily been purposeful. I've shown up to LinkedIn because that's what everybody else does. And you feel like you have to have a presence on all of the social platforms. Therefore, you post a bit there and post a bit here, etc. And something you said, I think you said it right at the beginning, but you also said offline when we were chatting right early on was, why don't you just do one thing really well? What I was actually doing was many things not so well. And I think there is definitely space for me, especially in the events industry that my other agency is in, for me to show up to those people and to provide value and, you know, to commit to a certain amount of time per week in working the room. I loved that analogy of it's actually a great networking space. And I miss networking so much. I loved hanging out, having a full English breakfast and having a good old chinwag with a whole load of people and making fresh connections. And if I could approach LinkedIn like that, minus the full English breakfast, although I could make my own, I think I could get back into LinkedIn. I think you may be convincing me slightly that it might be a good place. I don't think it would work for one of my businesses, which is the podcast necessarily, because I'm not always investing tons of time in promotion. That just kind of works it for itself. But certainly for the events industry, where we want to continue to meet new PCOs, which is professional conference organizers, we've got a really specific niche. We know exactly who it is we're talking to. We know their pain points. We know what they want to achieve. And there's tons of stuff that we could be doing and adding value. That was a really important message that you gave us as well, which is don't show up and just comment going, great post with a thumbs up. It's not going to help anybody. But if you can add value, if you can be a connector, if you can be a networker, tag in the people you know are going to respond. Tons and tons of stuff you fit in there into just 50 minutes. And all of them making me realize that I've probably not given LinkedIn its fair dues. And I've just kind of divaed off because I was getting so sick of all the spam I was getting. So it's more a reflection on me, I think.
Well, at least if your profile's up to date, and that's that you've done a really good job on your profile.
Yeah.
You've got a company page, you've done a really good job on that, then at least if somebody's checking you out, it's you look legit and you're up to date. I mean, it's a bit odd not to be on LinkedIn these days, I think.
Yeah. Top tip as well, folks. When you do take your profile picture, make sure that you don't have your son's dinner on the t-shirt, because I've just realized that I've actually got my son's dinner on my shoulder here, and I have had for the entire live stream.
No one would have noticed, but now we know.
Did. I've spent the last 10 minutes looking at it, trying not to touch it.
No.
So if you watch the replay, you'll see me doing this, like trying to scratch it off. It was broccoli, and it was very nice. I think I had more than he did, as in he covered me in it. Actually, there's a question not related to food on clothes, but with regards to the amount of time. Let's say I've been converted. I want to come back to LinkedIn, give it a fair dues for my event business. What I do is provide websites for physical events, and we provide a virtual space for virtual events. We're a software company. So I'm going to start committing time to find professional conference organizers. I presume the answer is how long's a piece of string, but how much time would you recommend practically a newbie, because it's almost like coming back from scratch? I'd almost be starting over. How much time a week or a day, I don't know, would you recommend a newbie start with their LinkedIn profile and start with making those connections?
It is a bit difficult to say how long. I would say you can do an hour a day.
Yeah.
That would be helpful. But if you're specifically looking for a group of people, then that's easy to do on Sales Navigator. And so I don't necessarily recommend that you get somebody else to run your LinkedIn account for you. Mm-hmm. But you can get them to do some of the grunt work. So like finding the people, cleaning off the lists. Mm. So you can offload some of that. But if you're starting to reach out, you need to obviously respond to the messages. Yeah. And if you don't like those sales messages, basically just ignore them. Just delete them.
Well, I could just have someone delete them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
How you want to work. But I've tried this all different ways, and I find LinkedIn works best if you show up.
Yeah.
It's a very personal sort of thing. So I don't want anybody writing my content. I don't want anybody commenting as though they're me. So, I mean, if you're 5 hours a week, And so if you're writing content, I don't know how long it takes you to write content. I tend to batch write mine, and I repurpose where I can. So you have to allow time every month to do content. But as I say, don't overstretch yourself. If you think you do one post a month or one post a week, then just do that. But I think if you're interacting on other people's posts, you're going to get the visibility anyway.
Yeah.
So you can try that. Try not doing content, which makes things a whole lot easier.
One of my biggest takeaways from your conversation was monitor the activity that you do and review your success. So for me, it would be, okay, if I'm going to set 5 hours a week, I'm going to set those 5 hours a week for the next, I think you'd said 3 months earlier is kind of a good amount of time, maybe even 1 month, for example. I'm going to look at, you had a list on one of your slides of the types of activities you were doing. So the number of connections, the number of conversations, that sort of thing. So I can look at those and say, okay, well, based on that many number of conversations, these were the number of conversions, these were the number of sales, or no sales whatsoever. So what do I therefore think is or is not working, and how can I improve it? And that's, something I hadn't done. Folks, you can see on screen, monitor your activity, review your success, establish clear metrics and outcomes so you can refine your activity. But actually what I would recommend you do is connect with Tracy Burnett on tracyburnett.com, because she has got loads of information on there and a way that you can learn all of this. If you want to check out a profile that is doing it right, obviously check out Peaches, because she's learning direct from Tracy, but also you can check out LinkedIn /in/ Tracy Burnett. Carry on.
Tracy, correct me if I'm wrong. Anybody can learn from you direct. And I mean, I am biased in a good sense, meaning I have done it and I can really attest to how incredibly this works. But it's one of the best investments I've made in a long time. Signing up to your course, Tracy, is just so great, because also the coaching element is fantastic. You give back so much, so I very, very highly recommend it.
Thank you.
It's not I don't have an affiliate link, just so that it's clear.
No. In fact, that's one thing I need to do is spread my net wider and get an affiliate link sorted, maybe. But no, you don't have an affiliate link.
Well, folks, I'm afraid we are out of time, but Tracy, you have been absolutely phenomenal. Thank you as well to the friendship between you and Peacher, because it's clear to see on this call, which is lovely. And it's also been a great way for us to connect with you and get immense value. Folks, we have learned an awful lot. There are tons of takeaways. If you watch the replay, you will see that we threw loads of those takeaways throughout as we went. I think one of my favorites is this: food for thought. LinkedIn is a search engine and your profile is a landing page. And if we're going to have a website or a landing page from a social campaign, we're going to want that to say the right things, attract the right people, and convert those people, as well as put the other people off that we don't want to communicate with us. And that's probably what I was doing wrong. So that was one of my biggest takeaways. What was your biggest takeaway? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to check out the LinkedIn Marketing Alchemist over on tracyburnett.com. Peacher, how can we connect with you as well?
You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Peach and Harry, there's only one, so not hard to find.
Such a show off. And you can also, at the bottom of the screen, see the free event designforconversions.com. I would highly recommend
sign up.
Check that out. You can connect with me on agencytrailblazer.com. Tracy, any last any last pieces of advice or wisdom that you can throw at the audience before we all wave goodbye?
It's a really boring one, but it's just do the work and be consistent. That's the trick.
Do the work, be consistent, folks. It's time for us to do the awkward wave.
Take care, everyone. For ages. You have to wave now, Tracy. Otherwise, he's not gonna stop. Right.